Christians are crazy. Hey guys, everything new under the sun. Well, I've got a couple of articles here about the ongoing persecution, the demonization, if the non-religious can even use that word, of the Christian. And we know that persecution is coming in the last days. And this one is from ChristianJournal.net. Let's have a look at this one. Scientists now resort to calling Christians crazy. A new study attempts, so they're trying to figure out a way to call us crazy so that they can put us in jail, so that they can give us drugs, etc., I'm sure, or so that they can just tell us that we have no right to be in politics, etc. And so a new study attempts to establish a link between religious fundamentalism and brain damage. And it's not just going to be, quote, fundamentalism. It's going to be basically every person of every religious group, if you don't like that religious group, if they're if they're countering political goals, etc. Well, then you can use this study to send them to an insane asylum, or prescribe them drugs to keep their brains in step. And you got to ask, who has the truth? Who knows who is the correct thinker? Is it the people? Is it the atheists? Is it the agnostics? Is it the theists? You've got two sides, multiple sides battling for what they believe is the correct faith, the correct religion. And atheism and agnosticism is a religion. It's a faith. It's something you believe in. You can't say whether it's true or not, but you believe in it. And some faiths, like the Christian faith, has a lot more empirical evidence, a lot more evidence in general, a lot more rational reasons why it's accurate and true. But anyways, I digress. Scientists from Northwestern University published a study in the Journal of Neuropsychology attempting to establish a link between religious fundamentalism and brain impairment. The findings suggest that religious fundamentalists have less cognitive flexibility. In addition, the study states that damage to particular areas of the prefrontal cortex indirectly promotes religious fundamentalism. In other words, science is now attempting to say that those who believe the Bible have brain damage. Can you believe it's gotten to this day? Incredible. Well, the people who created science were Christians, basically. It was Christians who made all the big scientific discoveries. It's Christians who brought medicine, organized medicine to the world, etc. It's Christians that brought all the good things to the world, basically. And they're calling this brain damage. I guess you can get rid of science and hospitals and all these sorts of things if you want, because they were initiated by Christians. Well, the prefrontal cortex is a region of the brain which is implicated in planning complex cognitive behavior, personality expression, decision making, and moderating social behavior. The well-known function of this region is considered to be executive function, abilities to differentiate among conflicting thoughts, determine good and bad. And again, how can there be good and bad if there is no God? There can't be good and bad because everything's relative. Everything is up to your own opinion, your own feelings. So there can't be good or bad, better or worst. So how are the atheists, I assume they're atheists conducting this study, agnostics or something, how are they determining right and wrong? I think they're borrowing from God to understand what is right and wrong. Because if there is no lawgiver, no intelligent design, no creator God, then what is your standard? What is the standard of right and wrong, good and bad? How are you making these judgments? Is it how you feel? Because everybody else is going to feel something a little bit differently about morality and these such things. So how can they even be making these statements? They're, as Frank Turek says, they're borrowing from God to make their own case and sitting in his lap and to slap him, basically. Well, it goes on. The ability to suppress urges, if not suppressed, could lead to socially unacceptable outcomes. This article goes on. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, they're doing everything they can to discount Christianity, to discount some way to explain away God, some way to explain away faith, to make it sound crazy, and to take people away from God. And woe to these scientists who turns the little ones or anybody away from God. I think the Bible does give a special woe, if you will, a special warning to those who actually cause others to stumble and fall, and it will be harder for them, if that is possible, where they're going in eternity apart from God, also known as hell, should they cause others to stumble and fall. Well, this one is from the AmericanThinker.com. The ongoing plight of Christians in Sweden. Muslim migrants often persecute Christian migrants or immigrants who convert to Christianity. The Open Doors Deutschland documented 743 attacks on Christians in Germany in 2016. The persecution is coming. Europe is already seeing this, mainly because they were the first to really become hugely liberal and lose their faith in a lot of ways. So many Christian churches were closed down or simply turned into mosques. And this is the inevitable outcome. You have violence, chaos, persecution. This is what comes when the majority is not following Christ anymore. So this is what North America has to look forward to when the majority is not following Christ seriously anymore. It goes on. The German police documented another 100 in 2017. Similar violence plagues Christian refugees in Sweden, but the Scandinavian country has yet to issue an investigation, so they know what's happening. There's persecution specific to the Christians, and they're not doing anything about it. A survey published by Open Doors Sweden last year found that 123 Christian asylum seekers reported religiously motivated persecution. Christian refugees suffered 65 violent assaults, 55 death threats, 7 cases of sexual assault, along with instances of social exclusion, insults, contempt, and threats. So I'll put both these links in the description. Again, I do these videos because I want to paint a picture of where the world is headed and give you an indication of how far Europe has went down the tubes, if you will. And as we see Europe get farther and farther, then we can also look back at North America and say, how far has North America gotten down the tubes? Are they as far as Europe was 10 years ago? And so you can make these observations and see how far down, how diluted, how sinful nations are going. And we know that in the flood of Noah was caused by the absolute evil that existed in the world. God had a red line and said, this is it. The world is so evil, and so I'm going to deal with it now. And we're heading towards that line. We're heading towards the line where the Antichrist figure comes and the 7-year tribulation starts. I think we're only a couple of years out. I think we're going to see some prophetic wars this year. Stay tuned. Persecution for the Christian has only begun in the world, and it's going to get very bad. I do believe the Bible speaks of it getting very bad in the last days. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll leave it there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.